I think I would have been fast.
Wow.
Welcome to the CAC. Welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders.
That was terrible.
Episode 146 for April 28, 2015. We're under the sea this week. And hopefully we don't get a copyright strike for that. But
I didn't agree to be a part of this.
My name is Rainbow Plasma. I am your aquatic host and organizer of fish. And today I'm joined by...
Verno One, the special guest coordinator, and your local lobster.
I'm Flutterguy317, and I am the media manager, and this week I'll be editing, and I am a sea sponge.
And I'm Atma Spark. I do the DeviantArt and the questions and stuff, and I'm just a mermaid.
Yes! He's not having,
I was hoping you'd go with the mermaids.
Don't ask why we did that. There's no reason, really. We just thought it'd be fun.
Is there any rhyme or reason to anything that we do? This is the first official episode of Under the CAC.
Under the CAC.
I'm making that the title. Name. I'm making
Under
that the name.
CAC.
Under the CAC. Wow.
All right.
Ted, is there fish in Atlanta?
There are fish.
There's fish in Atlantis.
And mermaids, if you follow the Futurama version of Atlanta.
Yeah, you've never heard of the
Lost
City of
City
Atlanta.
Lost City
of Atlanta, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even remember that until you said it, but let's pretend like I'm a genius.
I think for 2018 they're planning to pick up Atlanta and fly it out to the ocean. See how well that goes.
Something like that, yeah.
Turkish tourism.
And then,
just for canon purposes.
And then they put a golden statue of Ted Turner on it, and then it sinks. And then the Coca-Cola factory... Okay, this is spoilers for the Futurama episode. Go watch it if you haven't, because it's an amazing episode.
Why are you going to Atlanta, Ted?
Let's move on. You're going to Atlanta.
I am going to Atlanta next week, Tuesday through... Well, actually, today, when this airs, I'll be in Atlanta. And I'll be there for 3 days for an automation conference for work. So
You're completely lying. You're going for gambling, aren't you?
It's true.
Absolutely.
No.
Sorry, that's Atlantic City. Dang it! My cities are all messed up this week.
Wow.
It's all the same under the sea.
So I'll be down there.
Cool. Are you going to be back for next week's podcast?
I will be back for next week's podcast. And then the week after that, I will be gone in California.
Right. Yes, you're being assimilated into the Borg.
Yes.
At least for a day.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Actually, it's the Broorg.
The Borg.
Broorg.
Now I want to see like someone make like a Star Trek like Borg, but with like bros in it.
Like stunner shades.
Yes.
colorful
Swag.
speed shorts.
Yeah.
Polo
This has
shirts.
to happen.
Should I talk about how Skype's dumb? I feel like I've already done that. I feel like I'm all done on Skype. Skype's dumb.
Extra. Skype's
Extra,
a piece
extra.
of crap.
Microsoft bought Skype, and now it's getting worse. Big deal.
Welcome to like 2014.
Nobody saw this coming. Woo! All right. I'll also... Oh, yeah, we have fan art to get to, but I want to do the Unipeg first.
Okay.
Go on.
The Unipeg. So I'd say like 50% of the time, every single weekend, I go onto a stream on Saturdays. It's the Agamnensar, Shinoda GE, and Chirami-chan stream that they do where they take requests and stuff. You guys should check it out on Agamnensar's Picardo, or just go to their DeviantArts. They've got links to them and stuff. So I go and I hang out with them, and sometimes I help them color, and sometimes I just hang out and chat and stuff. And I don't remember, we were talking about like Greek and Roman mythology, and we were saying like, do unicorns and Pegasuses come from like the same time, like the same Greek origins, right? And I think we basically established that like Pegasuses come from like Greek mythology. And the interesting thing about unicorns is that unicorns weren't listed as mythology. That the Greeks believed that unicorns existed in the mythical land of India, and that they had magical properties. But basically, they were around the same kind of like cultural start. And then I looked up like the word alicorn, because I realized that alicorn wasn't really a phrase that's used, like and it definitely wasn't popularized until like MLP, right? Like alicorn was used a couple of times to describe a unicorn and a Pegasus together in like really old books, but it really wasn't until like My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic where it like actually became like a thing.
Yeah.
So I went to the Alicorn Wikipedia page, and like it's like 2 paragraphs long, and the second paragraph is about My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. And so, anyways, in like the first paragraph, they were mentioning like other alternative names for alicorns, and I don't remember what the first one was. It was something like Unisys or something, but then they were like also otherwise known as Unipeg, and
Unipegasus.
we were laughing about this. And I realized, and I want this to become a thing now. You know those like really bad OCs that are like not, you know, best of intentions, but like not designed very well.
Mm-hmm.
Red and black, you know, like of course they're a princess, like Alicorn OCs.
Mm-hmm.
We should call those Unipegs.
Pegacorns.
Like those should just be the term for like weird Alicorn OCs.
It reminds me of just like
they're Unipegs.
No, I'm sticking with Pegacorn.
it reminds me of the Dolan version of a alicorn or something. It's like Unipeg.
Yeah,
Ubi
like
plus.
it's like such a derpy word that like I want it to refer to like derpy OCs that are alicorns.
I'll be honest though,
Like, we don't want to call them alicorn.
when I saw this in the notes for today's episode, I actually thought it was a place in Canada,
Yeah.
like
you have
like
Winnipeg, right?
Canada.
we have Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That's what like
have
I thought.
Winnipeg.
I thought it was that.
I thought the exact same thing too.
Because you were
Like,
complaining,
I'm
you were
going to
you were
Winnipeg
complaining
today.
about hockey before we started recording today. So I was like, oh, it must be something about the stupid Maple
true.
Leafs.
I do talk. Burned. It warms my heart that you actually know what team I actually cheer for.
I hear it enough.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You do. You don't hear it nearly enough. I could be so much worse.
You could
All
be.
right. Well, that was all stupid crap. that I wanted to
Yeah.
spew. I think it's interesting. I
Time
think people
for
should start using Unipeg.
Less stupid crap. So
True,
we
very
got
true.
some sweet crap called CAC Min by Otaku AP and some fan art of our characters.
Woo.
And it's a minimalist fan art that Otaku made, and I thought it was really awesome because it
I
was
think it's
about
very
our
neat.
conversation about color and modernist art stuff
Yeah,
like
like
that.
modern art and stuff. Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can check
Also,
it out.
Silver's in there.
Yeah.
She's not actually. That's your band.
Yeah, but it's
Which
Yeah.
are Silver's colors. Hey.
Which is
Hey,
technically Silver's
what's
color,
up?
So,
Limo.
so
Hey,
the
Limo.
thing. Shut up. Ted.
Hey.
So the thing that I thought was really interesting about this piece, and I left a comment on his page, which probably is like much better worded than what I can come up with right now because I've got Under the Sea playing in my head. But basically, what I described was for all of our OCs, our body color and our hair color are kind of similar in tone, so they kind of go well together, you know. And then we've all got these like stunning different colored eyes, right? Like my eyes and Ted, your eyes are blue. Burned, you've got those yellow eyes that really stand out. And Joel, yours is the closest, but you still got that green that really pops out, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not as easy to notice when it's just your eyes because the rest of the pony balances it out. What he did here was he expanded those eye colors, and they really, really pop and like create this interesting complement in a lot of the different ones here. And he kind of like emphasized those colors more, which I thought was really cool.
That's
This is
The-
strictly
the-
just... Go ahead.
Yeah, I said it's not relevant to the eyes or colors.
Yeah, because this is strictly just the relations of our OC's colors with each other, like when placed next to each other. So you get to see
Yeah.
the relation of our colors, like our actual OCs next to each other's OCs, and then also just how our colors interact with the other colors in like our mane or coat, just purely next to each other without like wrapping it into a horse. We're just looking at purely, yeah, like packaging that color into a
wrapping
horse,
it
right?
into a horse.
That's all we are. Is we're pastel colors wrapped into horse shapes, right?
The more you
I
look,
just
the
happened
more
to
you look
wrap
at
mine
this,
in fire. Nothing.
the more you
Keep
look at
going.
it, the more cleverer it like gets because Burned is tilted, so he stands out. The
Yeah, did you notice that Burns' colors are tilted
Yes.
slightly?
Yes, that's the first thing I noticed. Then the more you look at it,
Oh, I
it's-
didn't notice that.
the more cleverer it gets because Ted doesn't have a second color in his hair, so his hair color is wide. Mine
yeah.
is my highlight in my hair is wider than Max's, so my wide color is wide. My highlight color is
totally-
wider.
Didn't notice that. Oh my god, this became like a cool thing of fan art, and now it's actually like an actual piece of art that I can look at and be like, oh, like why am I tilted? Why did you do that? Because it was relevant in the conversation where it's just slightly
Exactly.
off, right?
Exactly.
It's like, why? What are you trying to say, Otaku? You saying I'm tilted, bruh? Huh?
Say it to my face.
Did you really
Burn.
notice
Why?
that?
What was the choice to tilt me? I didn't notice that. I just looked at. I was
It's
looking at
not-
the colors. I was purely looking at the colors.
Yeah. It's not easy to notice until you scroll on the page.
No, I noticed
Yeah.
it straight away.
I mean, it's
Oh my gosh!
you can
I am
see
the
it,
only
but-
one that's tilted. I can see it. I'm scrolling up and down.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that something's off when you look at the piece, but you have to like zoom in to like actually see like the
I can tell by the pixels
It's
on my
just that.
monitor.
So burned. Like this is like a bit of an awkward thing now, and like we're gonna have to bring down the podcast a little bit. But I actually commissioned Otaku AP to do this, and this was my very subtle way of telling you you're fired.
Screw you, man.
You know, like it's tilted, like it doesn't belong. Like, you know, I just thought that might be like a subtle
Like
hint.
other
and-
things we've talked about today, I don't like you.
wow.
specifically relating to tilts.
Yep.
Specifically relating to tilts.
Yep.
All right.
Uh,
I'll
You're just
allow
as
it.
tilty as
I'll
that
allow
other
it.
thing, Rainbow Plasma. I hate you.
Nobody
Speaking of art,
nobody will ever get that.
I will.
Not a single
I
person
get it.
besides us will ever understand that.
Oh my goodness.
So speaking
So
of art,
Yeah.
shall we?
Speaking of things I
shall
don't
we-
understand.
Shall we?
We'll keep going. Thank you, Otaku AP. This is awesome, and I really like this. Just saying, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were. I'm sorry, Brent. I believe
I had to fit that in there.
But into the next piece.
Butter.
Yeah. Let's go under the sea here, and into the sky. That didn't make any sense. Luna.
Not at all.
Hey, everybody likes Luna. Distraction.
Joel, bring it up.
Oh, hell, I'm first. Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
so I chose this one. It's called, once it loads, it's called Luna. Surprisingly enough, by Secret Pony. Haven't had Secret Pony on here for ages, and I like her.
It's been
Time to
too
bribe.
long.
My jokes don't work if you don't listen, Joel.
Right.
I was listening, but
Doesn't work.
there was like everything going on at the same time. There's like 4 people
Aw.
in this chat. It's like a crowd.
That is
Yeah.
very true. And I do agree, Secret Pony does good work.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a
Shout
huge
out
fan.
there you
to
go.
art. What is it? Shout out to Brony artists in Belgium.
That's really obscure.
Belgium
Brent.
artists.
Thanks.
I just noticed. Look at the badge. She's from Belgium.
She's from
Well, who
Belgium.
else is from Belgium?
Pet Pony.
Literally, our
Belgium.
entire Belgium.
My old
fan
car
base.
was from Belgium.
Look at that.
Wow.
Shout out to Joel's
Connections.
old.
Yeah. Well, this
Joel,
is
explain this piece.
It's Luna sitting on a moon, and it's done in very much her style, where it's like straight lines that make curves, and hair is cool
Wait,
and wavy
what?
and transparent. What?
Sorry, you're gonna have to explain that straight lines make curves thing.
Go on.
Well,
That's
she's
Secret Pony style.
instead of making it like a smooth curved line, she's used a whole bunch of little lines that make it seem curved.
Like the moon,
Like
specifically.
the moon. That's what I mean.
Oh, the moon! I was looking at Luna's hair,
No.
and I was like, "Are those little lines?"
It's like you are
okay.
full of it.
Yeah. Okay, I get what you mean now that I'm looking at the moon.
she,
Yeah.
she does that quite a lot in a lot of her pieces.
Oh, okay, I see. Cool.
I have, well, maybe not quite a lot, but I have definitely seen it before from her, and I can
It's
easily
kinda like-
tell it's like Secret Pony.
It's
She does
playing with the what is it? The level of like organic line quality. That's the word I'm looking for. Organic line quality compared to geometric line quality. So playing with like curvy, smooth shapes with more rigid, straight shapes, and trying to like make curves with them. It literally makes the lines that the piece is made of more interesting. Like when we look at it, to make the moon kind of like that, because it stands out, right? From Luna's very wavy hair, and all of a sudden you have this
Yeah.
kind of crooked moon.
Yeah.
It
It
makes it
You're
a
right.
lot.
There's kind of like a contrast between those two.
It gives it an aspect that makes us look at it and go like, oh, like neat.
Yeah.
Secret Pony does this amazing thing where she makes the attributes unique to that character really noticeable and visible, and makes it stand out. Like with Luna, it's her wings and her hair make her stand out, like especially her hair. And in this piece, it's big, it's huge, it's completely different to everything else. Well, kinda.
I really like. Oh, go ahead.
No, you can
But what? But what? You were gonna say but what? What?
He just
Joel?
likes butts.
But I mean,
Okay.
the stars are the same as the background. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that too. How like the stars in her mane are exactly the same as the stars in the background. So it's like how
Right.
Secret Pony chose to like cover up the bottom half of Luna and like parts of the middle part of Luna, like with her hair, it makes her hair like, or her hair makes her like blend into the background, makes her actually look like the night, right? So it's just like kind of these wings and a head like sprouting out of the night sky.
Yeah, there's like different parts of her that look like they're, you know, it's varying levels of transparency, and it almost like tricks your brain into being like, is it transparent, or is her mane like a different shade of stars? Is she part of the background? Like it plays with a lot of different like levels of color and transparency.
Because it like covers up her body too, like covers up her lower part of their body, so it just kind of it makes her look like she's just like receding into the night sky.
Yeah.
But not perfectly though, right? Because you can see, thanks to her body, that there is transparency cues.
Yeah.
Because you can see like some of her wings.
Well, yeah, like her
Or you can
shoulder
see
and that
the-
bit of her wing and her neck, but then like where like her body and her lower legs should be and all that stuff. Like there's still half of a pony missing, and it's like covered up by her hair, by the night sky, if you will. Ooh.
Right. Yeah. It's just difficult to see.
Yeah. It looks very like blobby in certain places. I guess that's kind of a word.
I like the adjective.
Yeah. Just like her mane, that's like closest to us, has these very bright highlights that give it a very kind of 3D viscous feeling.
I see that.
Which
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah. I like it.
It's pretty. It's a lot of dots. Also,
There are a lot of dots.
if you-
That must have taken a long
Right.
time.
if you look
It's
at
so
the
annoying.
top of the moon, it looks like an upside down face.
All right, zoom in on that part. I also enjoy, like, there's... I find this piece has an interesting contrast and kind of like a different end result for the same kind of loose brushwork. So in the stars, obviously you can see that there's circles that are like dotted around, and so that's very loose brushwork there, right? But at the same time, like, I feel like the clouds are also kind of loose brushwork because you can see the strokes in there, but it's like a different kind of loose brushwork, and it gives a different feeling, and it's a little bit more faded and cloudy as opposed to the like points of the stars. But both of those are like different examples of loose brushwork.
Loosey goosey.
There's also something that I really like with the background. It's not black. There's a little bit of black purely just above her hair to make her hair stand out from the background. But if you look at everywhere else, there's like these really faded big bubbles, almost like a lens flare in the background of there's like pinks in the top, there's red, there's green, there's blue, there's purple.
Yeah.
All
Right,
sorts
yeah, I see
all
what
sorts
you
of different
mean.
colors rather than black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Yeah, it's not a solid
yeah,
black,
and
which
I
is
feel
good.
I feel like a newer artist would have just made that completely black.
On my monitor, they're quite vibrant. That like violet in the top and kind
Yeah.
of cyan on the left and around the green around the moon.
They're like nebulae.
Nebulae?
Look at
Nebula.
you dropping the plural
I've
form
never-
of nebula, Mr. Fancy Pants
Whoa,
over
we've
here.
got a plural drop here. Woo! Jeez.
All right.
Da-da-da-da.
I'll just wallow over here in my inadequacy.
Aw.
Oh man,
You do that.
that pluralization really put me under the sea there. Yeah, I think so. The cool thing that I think that's very subtle in this piece, and I'm not sure how much of an impact it has, but obviously the moon is kind of more to the right side of the piece, and so to kind of balance that out, you've got the big violet spot, the reddish tone on the left-hand side of the piece, right? So it's kind of like it's a little bit of a balancing act between the warm colors, but it's very subtle, and I wonder how much of that is actually helping or not, you know? But I think I think it would look worse if you put the violet like in the top right corner as opposed to the top left corner.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Then it'd be just too crowded on the right hand side.
It has a bit. It has a bit of peach in the very, very top left, so it does kind of add a warming
Yeah, like
aspect.
it's a kind of like balances things a little bit.
And there's-
Anyways, yeah, it looks really good.
There's so much blue that any other incorporation of another color, like just the yellow of the moon, makes it seem warm because there's so much of the dark, cooler colors, right?
Yeah, like it stands out, and the moon is obviously very, very warm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the moon looks very bright just
'Cause
because it's up against that blue background.
Sometimes it's not so much about like what colors are warm or dark. It's the fact of like there's so much of certain colors that the incorporation of colors that contrast them will make them seem warmer or cooler, right?
Yeah. Burned, why did you have to bring up the face in the moon? Why?
I know you can't see it now.
Because like every single time I look at it, like every single time, like it like in my brain, like my brain zooms in and it goes, oh.
Reminds me of like an Adventure Time episode or something.
All right, shall we move on to the next piece?
Yes. So the piece that I'm bringing is called Rainbow Dash FTTA by Luminora. It was one of several 45-minute challenges that Luminora has done recently of Equestria Girls shorts, which
She seems to be
But she's
like,
wearing a
kind
skirt.
of quickly. She seems to be kind of doing a bunch of these challenges to kind of improve her art.
Yeah. I really like Luminora's like very vibrant, very loose styles. And yeah, I mean this particular piece is from Friendship Throughout the Ages, which is a fantastic short, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. Yes. You should see that, and you should also see My Past Is Not Today, because they're both amazing. But
All right.
yeah. But this piece of art is really fantastic. Loose brush strokes,
And
very
just bam,
in your
color.
face. Yes.
Well, like yeah, obviously it's got a lot of energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of energy.
Yeah.
And
I like the energy
Transformers.
lines kind of emanating from the guitar.
Right, like almost like electrical kind of like zaps coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no. I feel like in this piece there's no subtlety. You know, like in terms of like what it's trying to convey. You know, sometimes we've talked about pieces that show like little subtle tweaks of giving motion and like trying to create a dynamic feel by tilting in diagonals and stuff. This piece is like, you know what we're showing
Yeah.
you. Like
There doesn't
Even
need
the
to be subtlety.
brushstrokes.
It's Rainbow Dash. She's not
Yeah.
subtle.
Yeah.
there's no subtlety
Like
there at all.
even the brushstrokes aren't subtle. Like you see like that. I love that little bit of
Yeah.
red right above the top little spike of the guitar. It's like it's a fat-ended brush. Like all this is like with fat-ended square brushes. They're just like ugh, ugh,
Yeah.
painted in there. Very, very like in your face, just like Rainbow Dash because
Yeah.
she's awesome. Take
Well, and
caution.
it's like a a reflection on the scene itself as well. You know, like it's supposed to be in your face. It's a big strum. You know, and I just kind of mocked the more subtle things, but I guess there is one kind of subtle thing, and it's conveying the downward motion that she is kind of she's strumming down.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that motion, I suppose. But even that,
That's
like
not even
all
subtle.
of those like all of those like white lines that are coming down to like convey motion, there's like a bunch of those, and it's like all over the place, you know. So it's not like you're fooled into thinking that.
Yeah. Something that I also noticed that's kind of subtle or kind of recedes back is actually her hands, which is kind of interesting. Because there's all this motion around her guitar and with her hair whipping around and stuff, but like her hands don't really have any motion to them, and they're very small and like I don't know, it's interesting.
Well, her skin color is the most subdued color in this entire piece.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's not
Normally.
obviously when you look at Rainbow Dash and you look at like her fur color when she's a pony or her skin color when she's an equestrian girl, like it's not the most subdued color. It's still like quite a vivid like robin's egg blue or like a baby blue or something like that. Some painter is going to be like, actually,
Yeah, you call it Robin's Egg.
Chip number.
it's aquamarine, but like obviously her hair outshines that color, but it's not like that color's subtle. You know, it's still like quite a vivid light blue. But when you have so many additional colors here, like there's so much craziness going on that it really does recede, and it's by far the most subdued color in this entire piece. So I think it kind of falls back behind these other extreme colors.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like it kind of pushes forwards a little bit. I mean, like, obviously colors do different things for different peoples. We have this very, like, bright color everywhere. And then the fact that her kind of blue really contrasts and stands out to me, it feels lighter, too, like, in value than everything else. Sort of. It's probably not, but just kind of seems that way. It feels like it kind of pops forward for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's also
It's a subjective thing.
also
Yeah.
it's also depending on where I think, the face has more propensity to stand out to me than the arms and the fingers would be for kind of pushing in, so like like I could see where you're coming from there, but I suppose what you're saying is even the arms stand out to you.
When not the arms so much. What I feel like actually is pushing her, just like her face and that area forwards for me, is the fact that around it's darker, right? Do you see how there's like an actual like darkening in value around her head and to the right of her face, like it between her hair there and her like her coat collar? There's actually like a darkening of space around her where there's a little bit more absence of color and it's a little bit more desaturated, and that pushes her forward and her body forward, even though you have all these bright colors everywhere around. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's what's doing that like kind of like foreground background pushing forward for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I still take a look at like her surrounding hair colors and feel like even though the face might be pushed forward compared to other parts of the piece, like the hair then keeps it in check, you know, because the hair is always going to be on top in terms of like the color levels and attention seeking, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, her hair is kind of framing her face. Her hair and her guitar are framing her face, and like Brendan was saying, there's a lot of like this in-your-face motion in the piece that, like, you know, her face is the most serene thing. So I think that really kind of draws your focus, even though there's all this other stuff fighting for your attention.
I wouldn't say that the hair is the most obvious example of framing a face, other than the fact that most people's hair frame their face because it goes around the top of their head. Like the energy lines that come off of the guitar, that to me is like what does the best job, because it circles around the head in general.
I think that's supposed to be her hair that's like flying around.
Is it?
Like ghosting of her hair. Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe.
Okay, I was just treating it as like some sort of like energy that's being like emitted.
It could also just
What do
be
you mean,
energy.
like everywhere around the guitar?
Like the rainbow colors that are coming up out of...
See, I see that as like ghosting of her hair that she's whipping violently back and forth.
Yeah, you could see it like that. I mean, it's a subjective thing. You mean you can see whatever.
I thought it was just radiating off. But you know, I think we were talking about the same thing. It's those lines that kind of create a circle around her head.
Like I see it as powerful energy because it seems like it's radiating from the guitar itself. But I mean, again, like if that's what your mind sees, like when something like this that's as loose as this, like it's art that's prone to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of different interpretations and stuff.
And you know, this is an interesting example of, you know, this is done as a 45-minute challenge, and you know, when you're doing art in 45 minutes, it kind of forces you to do interesting quick things that, you know, you wouldn't normally do because you'd have more time to think about things or to plan things out or put more detail. And so interesting alternative art pieces come out like this when you have a shorter time span, because you can't spend as much time on the detail.
Like you can
so you
see how quick and sketchy the character is done, or the lines for the character, like in the legs, the dress, the arm, and even the coat, like especially in areas in the hair. Like there's multiple strokes just done quickly as a sketch, and there's just colors thrown like right over that and under it.
Yeah, like you can see there's a circle right where her elbow is. That
a little undersketch for where arms should be.
Yeah. So it definitely has that kind of quick, sketchy feel to it. Which, I mean, for 45 minutes, you know,
right?
It's going to happen. Yeah, and like I said, Luminora's done a few of these lately, and they're all pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. I really like Luminora. Been watching artists for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, other than that, the piece is definitely in your face. It's,
because she's awesome! Take caution!
I was thinking like what's his face, and like that really popular song, like what was it, like last year or the year before? Oh gosh, Because I'm Happy, that song.
That song. Yeah.
What was that guy's name? Pharrell Williams. Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Burned over here is just singing like, you know, as awesome as I want to be, and
Burn's going crazy.
Yeah. So awesome. Take caution.
Max doesn't know what that is.
All right.
Max doesn't know what that is.
Next piece. That was not the next piece. I clicked the wrong piece. The next piece is Burns.
Burns' turn. So the piece I chose is called Early Pie by Jowie Bean. And it's this adorable scene with Soren and Spitfire at a restaurant in Cloudsdale called Pie in the Sky. And I really, really enjoyed this piece. And the reason why I wanted to feature it is because it's extremely relevant to what I'm learning right now in my comic class that I'm taking this semester. And the subject that I really want to talk about in this one and talk about with you guys is that why I picked this piece and why it's awesome is it's an extremely great example of setting. And when I say the term setting, it's basically it's where this picture or this scene is taking place. And so this world or area that is developed for the viewer that we see and go, okay, this is the place in the world in which they're existing or playing out this scene or this role. So in a comic, like, this would be an amazing establishing panel, like absolutely over the top establishing panel.
Right.
When it's like,
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
here are these two characters placed in pie in the sky. And
This is the world they're in.
And you can see a shot outside of this diner they're in with all this world and this landscape, this view, and like the color inside their setting and like at this little bar, and it would everything it's just laid out there for you, and then the conversation of her being tired and him excited for the pie or whatever you're gonna play out in the scene, it just like makes itself for you. So
You're right. It is absolutely a fantastic, like, establishing shot.
So an establishing shot, for people who don't know that term, is basically just it's like a panel or a picture, or in cinematography like an outside shot of something or the area in which this scene or something is going to take place, right? So
Is it-
it's just a shot like this, really.
Is it weird that this makes me think of The Fifth Element?
I get a really
Yeah,
heavy
I can
Bioshock
see
Infinite
that.
feel from it.
Yep, I see that as well. But
Is
it's
this-
just lofty, like in the sky with the city in the background floating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, in both like Fifth Element and Bioshock, there's moments where you get these like big, vast shots of like outside, and it just really puts you in the context in the moment.
Yeah, and a lot of those are like establishing shots of like where the scene when he's like trying to like buy food from that floating food cart and stuff, right? So it lays that like out
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting in the sky too is like a pretty big kind of relating point there.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. What I really enjoy about this piece, in addition, my favorite thing is what you were talking about there, Bernd, is what an amazing establishing shot this would be for a comic, you know, for establishing the setting. But I also enjoy how the kind of colors quite differ. You know, there's kind of like stages of colors. You've got the background of, I guess this is Cloudsdale. I guess we don't really know of any other Pegasus cities.
Yeah.
But like the main part of Cloudsdale there on the ground or whatever that is green. That's what I'm trying to get to. It's big and green, and like most of it's green, and it's got this green shade over it. And I doubt all of that is that shade of green, but there seems to be like
Yeah.
a shade of green, you know. And then you've
I would
got
say
this,
there's two.
Yeah.
Sure, shades of green, same hue. And then you've got this kind of like big red sign above that, the pie in the sky.
Yep.
You know, it's very big and red. And then you've got Spitfire, and she stands out like with her yellow and her orange, and like
I would say
that's
she's the most
completely different.
contrasting feature of this piece.
Yeah, and then like off to the right, and also in the sky behind the sign, you've got this like very like blue overtone. So you've got these like four like parts of the piece that are just overlaid with such different hues that it really kind of separates them into their own interesting areas.
Yeah.
It's really
Like,
cool. I like it. I
Yeah.
like colors. I like colorful things that,
when
that
we
use
were
these
first
kind of like primary colors.
looking at Jelly Bean's art, like he was really notable for kind of the crazy line work and crazy painting he did, and it was very excited and had a lot of energy to it. And he did like a lot of black and white sketches and stuff, but there wasn't a lot of like really skilled use of color in some of like his really old stuff that we first start seeing, like when he started submitting stuff to our show, right? And like then there was some pretty good stuff with color when he was doing his what is it, the title card
cards.
series.
Title cards, yeah.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
now, especially recently, since he's been making these art pieces and some of the ones we featured a couple months ago, the color's just so good. It's awesome. I love it. That is exactly my other favorite part about this, is how just bright and colorful everything is, but how well it goes together. You know what I mean?
That's a great point, Bernd. You just mentioned like the ones that we've featured before. That one that we featured recently, I'm actually reminded a lot of that one. The one where Rainbow Dash is looking over Canterlot, and like the way that the colors, I cannot find it. I'm looking right now.
Yeah, in that same piece,
But-
it established different areas of that world with color and with hue, right? So from foreground
another
to
great
midground
establishing
to
shot.
background to sky to clouds to ground or
Okay,
to
I found
the
it.
mountain, right? They're all these different, very separate hues, and same thing in this.
It's a little bit more subtle, but it's called Stare Out Peak. But you can see the same kind of similar concepts. The mountain is purple, the ground is green, the sky is blue. Like, you know,
I've never seen this
the
one.
clouds are gray. You know, they've got these interesting sections of the piece. And I really like that. And I think, you know, this is a personal preference of mine. So no matter where Joey Bean takes his art and his art style, you know, that's something that he's going to have to explore and is completely regardless of my own opinion. You know, I'm a guy who likes facial expressions and enjoys kind of like the manipulation of those, but I always felt like Joey Bean's facial expressions, the way that he conveyed his energy into these crazy, goofy facial expressions, was just something that never really stuck with me. You know, it never really got to me in like a good way. But when I see him expend his energy and his kind of creative energy in these other areas, like the way that he puts the colors, the way that he creates the settings, like I love it. I like Joey Bean's energy. I just so happen to like enjoy it when it's kind of output into this kind of medium, you know?
I even feel like his expressions have kind of like wound back into something like this. Like all the characters' expressions, I really like in this piece.
Yeah,
that gives you a
I
setting
agree. Like
for
in
it,
this
right?
piece, I love the expressions, and I feel like he's taken a bit of the crazy, wacky energy that he used to have in the expressions, toned them down, and converted that energy into other areas, like the way that he describes colors.
honed them, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of split up the energy amongst the entire piece.
Because even all the little bits in these characters, there's even a lot of fine details, right? So like the wrinkles in Spitfire's like eyes, and like when she's yawning, and like how her nose is turned up, and then like even the wrinkles in Soren's like eyebrows, and how because they're raised so high, and it'll make your forehead wrinkle. And then the the waitress or whatever is a very like calm set expression. I like the beauty mark too. I like that incorporation. There's a lot of little bits too that I like. Just they're so amazing for setting. Like one of the big things in the comic class that our teachers have been stressing is that every little thing put into an establishing shot or a picture in any panel of a comic is there for a reason. So my favorite little bit is that radio in the top right. Do you see that? It looks like an old-timey little radio, and it, like when you notice that when that red, because it sticks out, instantly in this scene I just get this mental, I wouldn't say mental picture, this mental sound of what this was setting would play, right? So it would sound like this old school like diner tunes, you know, playing in the background that is just kind of like quiet, but it's there, and like there's all that sound from like the outside flooding in. Like I now get like this atmosphere of sound in my mind as well, just because of the incorporation of that radio, because I know like what an old school like 60 diners sounds like from like movies, or like eating at like a pie shop or something, right?
Yeah, like other cues that you've had in your life. And I think to go on that as well, I think another thing is you can tell what time of day it is, not just because you can look outside, right? Because it's bright outside, but that could be any time during like, 8 hours of the day or 12 hours of the day or whatever, right? Spitfire's yawning though. It's like, I wonder what time it is, there's a coffee.
Yep.
Coffees usually come in the morning. Spitfire's kind of yawning, so it's kind of earlier in the morning, and you're right, it kind of sets up the time frame, it sets up the setting, and not just the internal setting of where they are, but also like the external setting of, in the grand scheme of things,
right,
this is where they are as
and
well.
Everything's there for a reason. So like seeing their bags too, they're like little messenger bags, so that gives a little bit to the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. Like where are
It's
they
also
going? What
called
are they
early
doing?
pie.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up the bags.
Well, I mean, I actually didn't even pay attention to the title.
Just purely
I guess
looking
it's
at the
called
setting,
Early
like
Pie.
if this didn't have a title, like this was just an establishing
I
shot
could
of a
still tell.
comic, like.
Well, I actually didn't know it was called Early Pie because I didn't pay attention to titles.
Yeah, I
so
forgot a long
the
time
fact that I
ago.
noticed that was proof enough. So.
Yep.
I wanted to bring up the bags actually because they color match the ponies.
Yeah,
So-
that was very cute.
Oh my goodness, fashion!
So cute.
That's great. I want a bag that matches me. I want a blonde bag.
So I should get you a bum bag?
No, you should get me like a messenger bag. Those aren't bum bags.
No, bum bag / fanny pack type thing.
I know.
Okay.
That's not a fanny pack.
No.
No, but I should
I
get you one
have
because
a-
it matches you, is what I'm saying.
I know, but I don't.
Oh, because of the fan. No. No. I have something that I've been wanting to bring up with this piece.
Go on.
That relates back to the color, and specifically Spitfire, because I think it's really interesting that she kind of does fit into this piece very well, and I think there's a couple of things that kind of lead to that. One is that she has some green hues in her, like in her flank and in her hoof and in her wings. And also that her wings kind of match a little bit some of the hues of greens that are in the outside.
So when you're doing a piece that's this colorful and you have these hues that stand out so much from each other, they don't seem odd or off because, one, how well they're done by Jowie Bean, but also because there's an incorporation of so many other colors in the environment themselves, right? So there's still portions and areas of these colors that blend in or are mixed or are painted into other areas, right? So one of my favorite little spots is actually the corner of that counter, the counter in front of like Soren and that Spitfire's leaning on. Some of Spitfire's colors are blended into that counter, you know, like reflective colors of her blended in there, and even some little like bit of like green to yellow next to Soren right there, like underneath the pie. And if you look at the reflection of the floor, there's like incorporations of greens and blues and oranges, and like Spitfire's bag is also reflecting orange onto the floor. And even everywhere in the city and little areas of the diner and the ceiling, there's more greens and yellows and violets. So there's still all these aspects of colors like put on transparencies and still blending on top of each other. And all this color seems to kind of blend together and be harmonized, but yet there's still very like bright, vivid areas that do contrast, but they're not like stark contrast right up to one another, and then that color isn't anywhere else. Something that's much more clean cut, like the Yuck Love ad piece that we featured last week, right? Where there's color repetition, but it's very, very clean cut and doesn't blend into each other. This feels much more harmonious, being so brightly color filled to my eyes, than something like Yuck Love Lad that's much more distinct and like sharp. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, now we can move on.
No, screw this.
Huh?
I don't care. We're talking about this piece some more.
Okay.
I can throw away my pieces. I'll talk about my pieces some other time. Let's keep talking about this. I love it. It's great. You've reminded me, as soon as you were mentioning like it's an establishing shot in like a comic, you know, I think back to like every single comic I've ever, like if you go back and you read like any comic, you're going to have one of these shots. And like, think back to it. Are those not the most like visually impressive shots in like all of the entire comic?
Right. And they,
you know,
they
like,
build the first step for this world that is going to be put into your head, right? So like this, like an establishing shot like this, which is such an amazing example of it, like it shoves this visual of this world, this fantasy world that's going to be like put into your mind that these characters are going to live out, right? Like, so it's like it's such an important aspect in anything in comic cinematography. Like even in My Little Pony, think about some of the awesome establishing shots that come into any scene, like with the castles, right? So like in Castlemania, you get a shot of the spooky castle, or there are different aspects of like that, or like whatever you want to think of. It's like
I've got a couple
it's
great
one of the
examples.
most important
If they're going to
steps to
Canterlot,
building the world for you to live in or be a part of.
A great
like
example.
if they're going to Canterlot, then they're like on a train, and usually like the episode starts with them on a train, and at some point someone looks out the window and there's Canterlot, you know, and it establishes where they're going.
You're saying, Joel?
A great example of establishing shots is, I don't know how many of you have seen it, but Big Hero 6. It's such a weird world. It's like a cross fusion of Tokyo and San Francisco. There are a few really good establishing shots in it, like the opening sequence, where you're flying over the San Francisco Bridge, like the Golden
San
Gate
Fran
Bridge.
Tokyo? Is that what you just said to me?
Yeah,
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you've seen Big Hero 6.
I haven't yet. I
You guys
should.
not seen Big Hero 6?
No.
Should I watch it?
I've seen it
Yeah,
twice.
it's pretty good.
And I don't watch movies.
But yeah, like,
Put it on a watch list.
there's that scene which establishes straight away that it's like some weird cross fusion of the two cities, and then there's that one later on where, slight spoilers, they're flying around and they fly through the city and then they fly over the city up to the huge wind generators and stuff, and you see the whole city. You can see this weird cross fusion of the two cities, and it's great. They're really good establishing shots.
Yeah.
I want to steal this and be
I
like,
wanna
this
know
is
more about
mine
that
now,
world.
and just like take this picture from Jowie Bean, like this is my
You're
world.
like you're
I
like
created
you're like
this.
that little
Yeah,
what is that little guy
comic
where it's like,
where he's like, oh, you
Yeah.
you made this, and he just takes it from the dude. I made this.
I made this.
Like, I want to do that
You
right
made
now.
this?
Just like
I
I want to
made
make
this.
I want to make a comic about this, right? And like this be the establishing shot. I'm gonna contact Jolly and be like, hey, we should do a collab. Now that you've done all the work, I'm gonna make a scene for this.
You know what, Burned? Like, you know what
Do
else
it.
I realized would be really good for this?
Shotzi,
This would
please.
look great on a print.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to hang this up on like my wall. You know, like it looks like this would be like a really really cool like print to have.
I agree.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Man. Even in
Also, it has Soren
And
So-
pie and face.
Yeah.
Best Pone has a good art piece, which is actually kind of rare. So
If you look, see that dark black line at the road next on the left of Spitfire's face? If you follow that almost all the way to the left, just past that road that goes off angling to the left, there's a smiley face.
So
what?
is this episode like find the smiley face in the or find the face in the art?
Yeah.
ding ding ding, 10 points, 10 points. Smiley face. Woo! Zoom in on the smiley face.
I don't even see it.
There it is.
Yep.
All right.
I really like the juxtaposition in this shot, and really like in any good establishing shot in cinema or in comics or whatever, between like certain parts of the background. Like you have these clouds with buildings and stuff on them, and then you also have like the land down below, and then you have the sky, and it kind of separates it out into three different parts, but they all kind of like make it really, really vast.
Yeah. There's something else we haven't talked about yet is the concept of like what is close and what is far in this piece in particular, right? So the establishment of foreground, midground, and background. So there's something done really, really well in this, and that's kind of the what would you call that? Atmospheric lighting, I guess. I think Spirit threw around a good word in our color episode that I can't really remember right now. But
Ambient
it's
lighting,
basically
or-
ambient lighting. How this piece is lit, right? So
Yeah.
you have a very bright source of light outside, probably created by the sun, right? Shining on Canterlot and the green in the bottom there, which is that big plateau you remember from like the Wonderbolts episode. And it's shining in on the characters and shining a bright light on them and kind of illuminating them, spotlighting them, right? It's from the outside, but then everything inside is it's more dimly lit. They don't have lights on or don't need lights on, so it's casting this very kind of darker blue light on the characters. So like Soren's like complete left side or right side, excuse me, is in shadow, and the front of Spitfire is in shadow. So again, it gives this kind of atmosphere for the inside of this diner that I really, really like as well. And it also looks like when you're looking outside at something bright, the inside of the area would seem much darker. So like the ceiling and the floor, they're also portrayed as like cooler and darker, like lower in value, where the stuff outside is kind of very, very bright, like blinding, kind of, lit up by the sun. And even the colors in the clouds, you can see the town on the in-between, which is kind of that established mid-ground, is kind of a more subdued colors, which is different from the other aspects, which kind of gives it like an in-between feeling. So there's kind of this shift of darkest to sort of dark to really bright in the background.
It's interesting that you bring that up because like I was watching who was it? The guys that did there was like a live action Minecraft YouTube video. Corridor Digital. They got a red camera and they were kind of demonstrating the differences between that and their old Canon DSLR that they used to shoot before that. And the main difference between the two is the fact that the sensor in the red camera can see a lot more of a dynamic range of light. So ordinarily, like if you were to take a picture in this scene with like a standard DSLR or a point and shoot camera, or whatever, the background might be whited out or not as,
Or vice
kinda
versa,
defined.
where the foreground is blacked out.
Yeah. But in this piece, it's almost like, there's a very wide dynamic range, almost to the point where you wouldn't be able to see that even with a camera.
It's a painting, right? So it's all about cheating. It's not about doing what's the most realistic. It's doing what seems realistic. So technically, if we're looking outside, our eyes would focus to that and we wouldn't be able to see inside, but we can look inside too and be able to see things in detail because our eyes are constantly looking around or moving around or seeing different things or constantly adjusting, right? So you can paint a perfect picture like this, to where things will seem how they would in real life, but you can have great colorful detail to the areas that are darker on the inside and still have such bright, vibrant stuff on the outside. So technically you wouldn't call it perfectly realistic, but it's done in such a way that's very beautiful and very similar to what we would associate with real light. Verisimilitude is the fancy butt word that I like to throw around.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one last final little thing that has nothing to do with this piece, but has to do with Joey Bean. He's actually going to be at BronyCon, which I had no idea.
Hi.
So I'm going to go and get the print, as opposed to just talking about getting the print. I hope he brings
Is he
the print.
vending
I
at
hope he listens
BronyCon,
to
or
this.
is he just going to be there as an attendee?
I don't know, but I don't know. He's advertising it, so
Doesn't
maybe I
matter.
don't think
Still
he's-
going. Joey Bean hype.
No, he's selling. He's vending.
Oh my goodness.
I really hope he has
Booyah.
that as a piece.
This better be a print, son.
Yes, better be a print. Hopefully I know he watched the show, so hopefully he hears this and
Better.
or someone tell him that we mentioned him and he can come listen to this episode and us going bleh with our piece. So,
And spending 20 minutes gushing about it.
Joey Bean, I love
yeah,
you. Ugh.
forget my art pieces. Sorry to Tomney.
Yeah.
Whoops, spoilers.
We'll save him for next time.
next,
next
week, the
week,
Tomney.
We
Next.
do have questions, though.
Let's do
Let's do
the
questions. Okay.
under the Q&As.
Okay. So, we have 2 questions, maybe. First question is by the Universe Traveler. It is, seeing how the MLP, which I'm assuming stands for My Little Pony fandom, has produced a lot of artwork in many medias, for example, sculpting, animation, drawing, etc., what forms of art media that aren't as common would you like to see become more common?
I'm offended that you excluded the My Little Princess fandom.
Oh, I'm sorry,
And
princesses.
the Major League Players fandom.
Yeah, and Max's Little People, which is my new foundation.
What about the burned fandom?
How does that even fit?
Burned. Play yourself out. All right. What do I want to see become more common?
Claymation.
Yes. But I also realize that is not really viable.
Really,
'cause
really
animation's
bad
hard.
claymation. That they didn't put a lot of effort into intentionally.
You know what? Like, legitimate answer. Like, I think things are great as is. You know, like, I think things have balanced out in their own, kind of natural way of doing things. The stuff that's harder to do, that requires more time and effort and stuff like that. Like, we see things like not everyone can like sculpt something, right? And it's not easy to go get sculpture materials. Not everyone can do plushy stuff and get the materials to do plushies and stuff. But digital art's a bit easier. You just need a program and a computer, and everybody has a computer because they're on the internet, right? So, like, I feel like just things have kind of balanced out, and I like the way that things have balanced out. There's lots of digital art, yeah, but I get to go off and see other stuff, and I think that if you're not seeing one particular medium, then just go explore a little bit out there, because I think, a lot of different mediums are absolutely represented.
Yep.
Well, that and we're like, what is the word for this? Like, graced enough, or we have been privileged with amazing things like Spirit and Lion. So like the duo cartoonists and like making something like Children of the Night. Like, not a lot
Right.
of fandoms have something that amazing, and so like even just the making of that. But that being said, I could still be that guy who's like Spirit and Lion are kind of seen as these deities to me in the animation world, especially in like the small like personal animation world. Something that they can make is so amazing. I would love to live in a polythematic, what is the word, poly something, like multi-god universe that we live in, that would have multiple amazing legendary animators making like multiple Children of the Night like animatics, because there's a lot of Brony projects like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this super awesome animation thing, and then it never happens.
Right. Okay, I could see that. That makes sense. Ted, how about you? What do you like? Animations? You said animations.
I said clay.
Do you agree with Burned, I guess?
I said claymation. I'm
Claymation.
sticking
We
by that.
have a fan that made those clay sculptures. Maybe they could make an animation for us.
Yeah.
Look, here's the deal. I want there to be at most 4 frames per second.
No,
At most.
you've seen Wallace and Gromit, right? Like everyone knows
That's
about
more
them.
than 4 frames a second. That's too good. I want like 12-year-old takes pictures, puts them into Movie Maker. I'm reliving my childhood.
Yeah.
Don't mock me.
And then
PowerPoint
voiceovers them
presentations.
with a voice crack.
I want a PowerPoint presentation fan art.
I would also like to see more like really, really nice oil paintings like Cosmic Unicorn does. I would love to see that kind of stuff. Like there's Trigion, but I feel like he is a very aspiring like oil traditional artist, right? And he's like learning, he's
Rip
getting
Trigion. Is he dying?
Huh?
No, expiring?
Expiring.
there. I
He's
said,
expiring
I said
artist.
aspiring with an A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what? That brings up a good point too, which is we do. It is always neat to see physical medium stuff, you know, and yeah, we have plushies and stuff, but I mean like paintings, like physical paintings, right, or watercolors. It's always cool to see those like
And then
actual
you have, like,
physical stuff.
Like a really, really nice traditional artist like Agman Ensar as well, like so the color pencil work that he's done for us, you know.
Yeah. It's so good it looks
Or
digital.
even now that we're on the subject of like Aggie, even Shinoda too, like his spray paint artwork, like where's all this
Yeah, I mean
graffiti
we've already
bronies
got
at, you know?
like yeah, like I mean I really like they aren't as common as you'd like to see, but I feel like we see a lot of stuff. You know, like we see so much stuff in this fandom, and like that's the reason. There are very few fandoms in which a shoe like the Cutie Art Crusaders, a show like the Cutie Art Crusaders could even exist.
Yeah.
Right. And like continue to exist after like 3 years.
Yeah.
And the only reason that is because of the wide, expansive, amazing people
So it's
who
like-
contribute.
That question of like what would you like to see more of? It's like we already see so much that I
just want it
already
to keep
feel
going.
very gifted, very honored, you know, to live in or to be part of a community that has so much of this stuff or selection to choose from, right?
Yeah.
Heck, go to like a convention, to the artist alley or vendor hall, and like you get shadow boxes. You have like stained glass. You have etched cups. You have
Yeah, I've got
Possi-
glasses. Yeah, I've got glasses that are etched. I've got like, you know, there's T-shirts.
Yeah.
T-shirt is its own artistry. You know, like it's we've got all. You know,
Like,
we're
On my
living
desk,
the art life.
I have
okay?
six like sand etched glass like cup holders that are My Little Pony. My mouse pad is My Little Pony. I have a selection of figurines.
Did you ever end up getting those shot glasses from BronyCon last year?
Me, I didn't get a shot glass, even though I'm going to this year, because I actually set up a little bar for myself in my room, and it's short My Little Pony shot glasses. But I have pint glasses that I bought at BronyCon last year.
Okay,
I bought a CMC.
Yeah, like,
You know what?
glass.
I think just to wrap up the question, like we've got it, man. Like we are like when you compare like the amount that the time that the show has existed versus the amount of art, we blow every other fandom out of the water.
Yeah, like there's
there's
stuff
there's no one that comes close.
there's stuff we'd love to see, but it's just like we don't take what we have for granted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like nothing else is close. You could argue like other fandoms that have existed for like 20 years, like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z. Those have
Sonic.
existed for like 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing like what we have, and that's one of the things that's so cool. Just the explosion, the absolute explosion of art.
Are we gonna do the next question? We can do it
Does
quick.
everybody have their answer ready?
Yeah, we can do it quick.
Sure.
Okay. Cool.
Okay,
So
wanna do the second question?
I guess we should say the question first before I try to answer
The
it.
second question is, what are some of your pet peeves by Anonymous?
Okay. So my pet peeve is I'm a very organized person. I like all my ducks in a row. I don't like having like
this is relevant.
I don't having like notifications on like my phone or like unread emails or like things like that. So when something prevents me from being organized, that is a personal pet peeve of mine. For example, Skype. But that's a conversation for another day.
A Skype conversation?
Possibly.
I don't really have one off the top of my head, so you can skip me.
I will skip you.
No.
Ted?
I don't know if this qualifies as a pet peeve, but like slow drivers in the left-hand lane.
Sure.
Driving
that's a pet
nuts.
peeve.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's a perfect pet
Get it?
peeve.
Drive you nuts?
Yeah.
That is a particularly perfect pet peeve.
Yeah.
Peter, you're not. You're Ted. All right. And last but not least,
Me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. My cat.
That's weird.
Which one,
yes.
though? You've got two now. You've got a second cat now.
The one that peeves me.
That peeves you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The mean one.
I see.
The first one.
the first
Yeah.
one. He is literally my
Mr.
pet peeve.
Grinch? Yeah, it's true.
You should have
It's true.
named him Peeve.
You should have named him
And-
Peeve. There's like 4 other
Peeves.
names that you could have named that cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Peeves.
This question is funny because, like, I know there's a lot of stuff that, like, kind of maybe gets to me or pisses me off, but I feel so forgiving that I just try to forget about it, right? Like, I don't let things like pet peeves or annoyances bother me. I just kind of let it go. And I don't have anything that I hold a strong grudge against, so I can't really think of an answer off the top of my head for this.
What about when white boys be at the disco?
No, that's fine. I listen to Eminem a lot, so
It doesn't. It does annoy me, but it's infrequent enough.
Shout
that
out,
it's totally
shout out
fine.
to Rooster Teeth.
Shout out to Ryan.
I'm trying to think of
all
an
right.
actual answer, but I guess that'll do.
I know that's. I mean,
That is a perfectly
yeah,
legitimate
that's
answer.
A thing.
Yeah.
It's funny,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I do
That's
have
a
real
thing.
ones that annoy me, but I can't think of them right now. You three.
Me?
in
I'm a
art,
pet peeve?
things that I've a really strong pet peeve I have in art is tilty things.
So does that mean you really, really, really don't like that thing by Otaku?
Nah, I'm just kidding. I like dynamic diagonal angles.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the plugs right now.
Okay. So we have stuff. The first one we have is Picado. Google us to find that because links are dumb. We also have a DeviantArt account, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. We have a Gmail account, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. Please send us stuff there. We have social media, so we got Facebook, which is Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook. We are at Cutie Art Crusade on Twitter, and we have cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com.
Sweet.
Yay.
Awesome.
Stuff.
Well, yeah, I guess that's everything, unless anyone else has anything else to bring up.
2 things. Number 1 is we have a poll on our DeviantArt page
It's true.
that we put up was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
a week ago.
A week ago. That we might actually start up another podcast, but go.
I
vote
wasn't
in
informed
it.
of this decision.
Were you here last week, Ted?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's not like we're gonna start up a new podcast.
We're
I'm just curious. That's
exploring
all.
what people's opinions are on it. So
I'm just curious at all.
Yeah.
It seems like the consensus so far is sounds cool, but don't stop doing CAC.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair.
Yeah.
Because that's like that makes sense. So
yeah.
yeah.
So go voice your opinion there.
Go horse your
if you
opinion
want
there.
to.
Absolutely. I want both your voice and your horse
Well, like
to vote in that.
we do have a very kind of close knit of people who I guess are left and still watch our show because I feel like we don't really advertise ourselves a lot, like outside of our public media things that we have. So it's very word of mouth oriented in our popularity, and if it goes
Word
up
of
or
horse.
down, it's basically like people out there who watch us who also decide to share us in places because we don't share ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I do feel like it's kind of dependent on the people who like listen to this and like watch this to like
'Cause
actually go out and spread the
We
word.
had
you know?
Everfree Network for that, and now that we don't, it's like we just kind of make this thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, part of that, I mean, personally, is the fact that I don't want to put in a lot of effort into, like, advertising something,
Yeah.
because, like, I've talked about it before, but when you do that and when you spend so much effort on it, it kind of stops being fun in a way, you know? But, you know, it would... We like to try out new things, and, you know, if there's something that we think would be appealing to other people,
Like a
or,
banana?
you know, if you know people who, you know, would enjoy the show, then, you know, it's up to you guys, our fans,
Yeah.
to kind of spread it around, and it'd be awesome if you could do that. But
There's a lot of stuff
yeah,
I still...
I just don't like spending a lot of like effort on like advertising and putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, like, people are still wondering about, like, Canterlot Hill, if we're ever going to go over there. And it's like, it would be nice, possibly, but it's a lot of initial effort. And I think we've been busy or just not really interested in putting in the initial effort to get onto it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really enjoy just kind of doing the show and, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even this
So,
as a
I mean,
hobby takes up several days of my week, right?
Yeah, and so like we don't want to spend like an egregious amount of extra time, to kind of do that. And part of that as well is kind of like evolving the show as we evolve as people, and as we kind of want to experience new things. Semi recently we decided to stop doing themes, and we started doing this, and that's an evolution of the show. And so we're always curious as to how we can evolve it to make things interesting, not only for the people who watch, but also for us, and maybe for new people. But at the end of the day, like, it's just about having fun, and if and if people who listen to it love it too, then that's
in
great.
other words, please share our show.
We're counting on you, the viewers. God, I sound like PBS now.
Oh yeah, last little note before we end. I guess I want to say it now while it's early. In a month from now, I'm going to be at Everfree Northwest.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, I won't be.
Wait, is Everfree Northwest June?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Really?
They changed the date this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's early this year.
Really?
It's actually in May, the end of May.
Yeah.
Really? So it's like a month and a week
May
back.
26th to 29th.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, you
must
won't
be a
be there for my
weekend then,
birthday.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
Friday,
you will.
Friday
No,
Saturday,
what?
Sunday of last May.
Well, your birthday's the 31st, though.
Yeah, I'll be
I'll be
there.
back for that.
Oh wait, no, I won't. I'm staying an extra day because Johan's robot and I are going to go to a baseball game.
Never mind. Burned is
Sorry.
in fact a bad
No, you'll be
person.
back on the 30th, won't you?
It's either through the night of the 30th or the morning of the 31st.
Okay. Well, my birthday is the 30th for you guys.
Anyway, talk about this
All
later.
right.
It's a month from now. But
So, that is
Spoiler cast after this. Stay tuned.
look. They know the spoiler cast is happening. You can go check it out on our YouTube channel.
the CAC.
Do the plugs again.
Everything's better.
Do we do the plugs again? Okay, so we have a David account. We have a David account.
The CAC.
Everything's better. Thank you for watching. The CAC.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da-da.
Thank you guys for watching.
Is that
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
almost like the new rim shot now?
Shut your mouth.
Try to end the show. Shut up. Thank you guys for watching, whether or not you're on Picard or YouTube.
We love
Love
you
you
all
all
the
the
same.
same. My name is Rainbow Plasma.
burned.
I'm Flooding Guy 317.
I'm Matt Mossbark Mermaid. I can't
We'll see you
manage to
next
combine
See you
those words.
guys next week. Burn, you're a lobster.
Better than a flounder.
Whoop, 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 whoop.